These cheeseburger wraps are high in protein, they come together in less than 30 minutes and taste way too good to be healthy. This is everything we're going to need for today's recipe, plus the addition of salt, pepper and oil, and a sauce of your choice. Starting out, we're going to need 1 brown or yellow onion. Just slice that tip off and then slice it in half and peel it. You can slice or dice it. As for me, I'm going to be dicing this into small to medium sized pieces. And just make sure you trim off any excess flesh from around that root, just so we have no waste on the onion. An optional ingredient is 1 pickle. This one actually weighs 100 grams or 3.5 ounces. All I'm going to do is just slice this into thin strips. Like I said, it is completely optional. I completely understand that some people don't like pickles. Once you have them sliced, we can stack a couple up and then just slice these into thin strips the whole way across. Rotate those strips, and then all we need to do is dice this into small pieces. If you don't want to dice them, you can slice them any way of your choice. Lastly, for the prep, I've got 180 grams or 6.3 ounces of cheddar cheese. You can also use mozzarella, and we're going to grate this on the largest side of a box grater. I do recommend always buying fresh if you can, because the store-bought stuff does have anti-caking agent on it. But for a recipe like this, just do whatever's cheapest for you. Also, I noticed in the shops the other day that they now make high-protein cheddar cheese, even though there is quite a bit of protein already in cheddar cheese, but be interesting to use that as well, because you can increase the protein amount. Now place a large pan over a medium-high heat and get this nice and hot. Add in 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. You can use spray oil to cut the calories. And then add in that onion. Add a touch of salt, a little bit of cracked black pepper, and then cook this for about 3 to 4 minutes, just until they're nice and translucent and have picked up a little bit of color. Now after about 4 minutes, the onions are getting a little bit of color on them and slightly becoming translucent. What I have here is 20 grams or 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. Just add that in. Mix that around, and all we need to do is cook this for 1 minute, just for those flavors to develop. If at any stage your pan gets a little bit too hot, just slightly turn it down. We don't want anything to burn. Right about now, we can add in 750 grams or 1.6 pounds of lean beef mince. This is actually 5% fat. You don't want anything higher than 10%, otherwise you will need to drain the fat. And I recommend not using extra virgin olive oil and only spray oil, just to cut the calories a little bit more. Once that's in, spread it out so it's all sitting flat, and then we'll let this cook for about 2 minutes just to build up a crust. Can also season the beef to taste with a little bit of salt and some more cracked black pepper. After a couple of minutes, start mixing this through. We'll have a nice little bit of browning on the bottom of that meat. Another little tip as well is when you're adding this amount of meat to a pan, depending on the size of it and depending on the power of your burner, you will need to crank this up to a high heat just to get any sort of color on there, just so the meat doesn't stew, because we want to get that nice little crispy, that caramelization bits on the beef. And we want to cook this for about 6 to 8 minutes, just until that beef is no longer pink and any of the water that's come out of it has evaporated. After about 7 minutes, most of that water has evaporated off and the beef is no longer pink, which is exactly what we want. Add in 2 teaspoons each of smoked paprika and garlic powder, half a teaspoon of chili flakes, which is completely optional, and cook this for about 1 minute just to toast those spices and get that flavor really nice and developed. At this stage, it will start to give off a really nice aroma as well, and your house will start smelling lovely. Right about now, we can add in 3/4 of a cup or 180 milliliters of beef stock to deglaze the pan and create even more depth. Mix that through and just make sure it rips up any of that fond that may be at the bottom of the pan. It's all extra flavor, and we're going to cook this for about 2 to 3 minutes just to slightly reduce. Now after about 4 minutes, that beef stock's nicely reduced down and created a really nice depth. We don't want much moisture in there because we're going to be adding it to a wrap, and we don't want it to be soggy, but there still will be moisture within the beef, if that makes sense. Add in 1/3 of a cup or 80 grams of high protein yogurt. That's just going to add a little bit of creaminess to the dish. 1/4 of a cup or 60 grams of tomato ketchup. 1 teaspoon or 10 grams of American mustard, also known as yellow mustard. And if you're using them, we can add in all of those pickles. All we need to do is mix this around thoroughly, just make sure everything is evenly combined and those pickles are evenly distributed through the sauce. And when everything is thoroughly mixed, you should have something that looks like this. We can turn it off the heat, just double check it for seasoning, and then remove it from the stovetop. Now to put this together, we're going to need 6 flour tortillas. You can use any tortilla of your choice, and there is high protein variants, but most of the time they just aren't that good. They completely fall apart. So for me, I'm using flour tortillas, and we want to divide our mixture by 6 so we can place that straight into the center. And we're also going to do the same thing with that cheddar cheese or mozzarella cheese if you've decided to use it. They don't need any more salt, but I will add just a touch of cracked black pepper, and then just add over a sauce of your choice. For me personally, I'm just using a little Cajun mayonnaise. If there's anything else like vegetables, onion, lettuce that you want to add to this, be my guest, go for it, but I'm going to leave these nice and plain. We'll then fold in the sides, just tuck it in, fold it all the way over the top, and then just tuck that lip in right there. Make sure all of the sides are fully tucked in so nothing leaks out, and then just push forward, wrapping it up nice and tight. And when you have them rolled, just make sure you put them on the seam side down, that way they just won't unfold and go everywhere. Now with that done, what you'll be left with is 6 nicely wrapped tortillas with nothing falling apart. It does take a little bit of practice, but once you get there, it is quite easy. Now these can be left fresh or toasted, but for the purpose of this video, I will show you toasting one. What we want to do is lay it seam side down into a dry pan over a medium heat. We want to toast this for a couple of minutes on all sides, just until you have a nice golden brown color, or it's toasted to your liking. This can also be done in the oven as well as an air fryer. Just always do whatever is easiest for you. Worst case scenario, when you are reheating it, if all you've got is a microwave, it will work, but they will be a little bit soggy. All right, so we're toasted on all of the sides. This can be turned off the heat and we can allow this to cool down slightly. With whatever you're doing, if you're toasting them or leaving them fresh, you can wrap them in food safe paper, you can put them in Ziploc bags, or just put them into meal prep containers. These will last 3 days in the fridge and 4 months in the freezer. So with all of that out of the way, let's slice one of these open, revealing that delicious center. So with all said and done, there's only one thing left to do, and that is, of course, we can then dig in. That's so good. So easy and so tasty.